This is a special introduction to an interview with Josh Freed. He was a primary candidate for governor and is now a registered write-in candidate for lieutenant governor. Here's our June 26th interview with Mr. Freed with a new final question regarding the write-in campaign for lieutenant governor. Well, welcome to Meet the Candidate. My guest for this session is Joshua Freed. He is a candidate for Washington State Governor. Welcome, Josh.
Thank you, Sue.
So this is the Get Acquainted with the Candidate interview, starting with the simple things like tell us about where you grew up and went to school.
Great. Well, I was born in Kirkland, Washington, and my family brought me home to what we called the Freed Farm. So I was raised originally on a farm, raising chickens, cows, horses, pigs, and then at age 3, I moved to Egypt. I lived there for 4 years. I used to speak Arabic, but since I've lost it. But when I was 7, we moved home back to the farm again, and I just lost my whole screen. So sorry. So I got it stabilized again. I'm just going to hold it here in my hand if that works.
It works, and I think we've all gotten more used to the technical glitches in the last 2 months.
It is interesting for sure. But so obviously lived in Kirkland, moved to the family farm, then moved to Egypt for 4 years, which was interesting, being raised riding around the pyramid on camels. That was a fun time. And then moved back to the farm in Bothell. And then when I was in junior high, we moved to Pakistan. And so during my junior high years, I got used to anti-American riots and car bombs. And actually one day, 17 missiles hit my school when I was there. And used to drive to school under the banner at the Iranian embassy that said "Death to all American pigs." So it's quite an interesting upbringing. Then moved back home to the Freed Farm in Bothell and went to Inglemoor High School, graduated in '92, then went to Seattle Pacific University where I met my wife Lindy, and we've been married for 23 years. We have 5 amazing kids from 21-year-old down to twin boys that are 14 years old. And been focusing on running my own company, doing land development and home building for the last 15 years. And also served on the Bothell City Council for 12 years and served as mayor during the time of the largest revitalization of a downtown in Washington State. So it's been an interesting, fun time, and just blessed to have a wonderful wife that loves joining me and doing ministry around the world, whether it's serving in the Philippines for 21 years with the International Deaf Education Association, or serving in Kenya building health centers and drilling wells for the Maasai tribe there.
You know, one of the questions I often ask people is to tell us about interesting travel or volunteer experiences, and you certainly have both. What are some lessons that you've learned from those that have served you on the Bothell City Council?
Bothell City Council was a great collaborative experience. When I was mayor, I helped pull together Republicans, Independents, Democrats to paint a vision for the city of Bothell, and we were able to recruit investors to invest in that dream, and we've seen it come to fruition. They invested $450 million worth of private investment. So I love pulling people to the table, working together on a vision, which is what I'm excited about for certainly the state of Washington. There's a lot of division today, and look forward to pulling people together to move Washington forward.
Did you see anything that in your travels or in your overseas service that has helped you with that effort in Bothell?
Certainly working together is so essential. I mean, it's all about community. When you go to The Philippines, for instance, it's, there's no walls separating anybody. There's no fences that are causing divide, but everyone in the evening is coming out to spend time together. They're family and they love to help each other during times of need. And I think we can do a lot better here in Washington State of making sure that we're reaching out to our neighbors and giving them the support that they need. But it's really about community and understanding and learning to live together without that conflict that we see so often today across our state.
Well, right now politics has a lot of conflict. What prompted you to step into politics with the background that you have with really such a lot of interesting things going on?
Sure. Well, the big thing for me and my wife Lindy was what we got involved 2 years ago in running Initiative 27 in King County. It was a ban on heroin injection sites because the city of Seattle and King County Council wanted to open these locations that were run by the government. And when you walk in the front door, they give you the tourniquet for your arm, the needles, the syringes, the pan to cook your heroin in, and even the matches. So everything to inject poison in your veins. So we got 1,000 volunteers, worked across party lines with Democrats from Speak Out Seattle, Safe Seattle, and the Neighborhood Safety Alliance, and gathered 70,000 signatures. Through the process, we got 20 different jurisdictions to ban heroin injection sites because we saw the damage that happens in a culture to individuals, but certainly in the culture as a whole, as around drugs, it costs around $35,000 a year to support your heroin addiction. So people are breaking into people's cars, breaking into people's homes. Where under Jay Inslee, we've seen assaults increase by 20% on individuals and by 40% on police officers. So Lindy and I decided to jump in with this race and make sure that we can change what's happening in our culture as crime is exponentially continuing to increase. Murder is up by 41% in the last 7 years, and rape is up by 65%. We need to enforce the laws in Washington State to make sure that we are keeping people safe. Yet at the same time, those people that are living on the streets, struggling from mental health issues and drug and alcohol addiction, we need to enforce the laws, of course, but also get those people the help that they need to get them on the pathways to success.
Well, that's certainly quite a boost to look into politics, and it's nice to hear that you had a success there. I'm thinking of trying to think of a question that's going to give us some good news because we all need some good news these days. Is there a piece of a fun little anecdote that has stuck in your mind from some of your travels that you'd like to share?
Well, I just think about what's happening. I've seen so many success stories that we don't have to accept what's happening in our state today as the new normal. We can turn around what's happening in people's lives. The good news to me is I know that if we have resolve, we can see people that are addicted to drugs or alcohol see their life turned around. And I've been to some of the darkest places in the world serving, and I know that we don't have to accept this as the new normal, but if we have resolve and pull together, we can have great success. And so I traveled to Belgium, looked into what was happening there, traveled to other parts of the country, of course, to truly understand how we can curb what's happening here. And to me, that's good news. We don't have to consider defeat, but we look to where we can have victories. And I'm excited about the path forward for Washington State when we have a new governor and we have the resolve to change what's happening in the lives of people that are suffering today.
Okay, Josh Freed, welcome back to Meet the Candidate. And we're here on September 14th with a new last question for your interview. Why should people vote for Josh Freed for Lieutenant Governor? And how do you do a write-in vote?
Great. Well, Sue, so good to see you. It always is. And thanks so much for the opportunity to be on and answer these questions. Yes, on primary night, a unique opportunity presented itself when two Democrats went forward for the position of Lieutenant Governor. And voting for one, voting for the other, I think it's right for Republicans in the state to have the option to write in somebody who they would identify with more, or somebody who considers themselves from a conservative platform for Lieutenant Governor. And so what somebody would do is they go down to the position of Lieutenant Governor, they fill in the little bubble for the write-in section, and then they write in the name Joshua Freed. You know, as a fiscal and social conservative, I think it's important that we have a representative in Olympia who can stand up for people's rights in that specific position. It's a key role. The job of Lieutenant Governor is you're controlling a lot of the bills that are circulating through Olympia, and I think it's right to have a fiscal and social conservative Republican running in this position. And And so when folks get their ballots, it should be in maybe about 30 days or so, around October 13th. They can vote for president, they can vote for governor, of course, for the other positions, and then go down to lieutenant governor when many people, independents, or even some Democrats are looking for an alternative to even the Democrat Party. They're going to say, who else is there? My hope is they consider Joshua Freed for that position of lieutenant governor. I'm looking forward to represent citizens. Big couple roles are, of course, economic development and trade for that position, as well as overseeing addiction programs in Washington State. This very much aligns with my platform as I've been running for this position and visiting all 39 counties across the state of Washington. So people can go to joshuafreed.com to learn more about my running for lieutenant governor.
All right. Thank you for coming back, Josh.
Thanks.
90 million Christians are eligible to vote.
40 million didn't.
That's 45% of eligible Christians not voting.
We can change that.
We believe We Vote was designed to arm people of faith with information on candidates
And how they line up with biblical and constitutional principles.
It's simply WeBelieveWeVote.com.
We're on a mission to rev up the 2020 election.
Tell your friends, your neighbors, and especially your pastors to rev up.
Be an educated voter.
Arm yourself with truth based on the Word of God.
2020, rev up.
Register, educate, vote.
Rev up.
Rev up.
Rev up 2020.